Hey, so I'm still playing through Metaphor ReFantasio at the moment, and because of that, I haven't had the chance to clear off any more games from my backlog. So I figured here's an older script for a video that I had in the works for Lies of P. I initially wanted to rework the script a bit, and I was no longer happy with the script, given that I've got a bit more practice and it's not really how I'd do it today. But I figured to try and avoid too long a gap between content, let's just polish it up what I can and make the video and put it out there, you know? If you enjoy, thanks. Otherwise, stay tuned for your regularly scheduled program. Thanks. Lies of P, developed by NeoWiz Games and Round 8 Studios, is a fantastic 2023 video game. If not for the release of Baldur's Gate 3, one of the greatest video games of all time, Lies of P might have been my pick for Personal Game of the Year 2023. At its core, Lies of P is a Souls-like video game where you play as Pinocchio in a dark, steampunk-inspired reimagining of the classic story. The game unfolds in the fictional city of Krat, which is in the midst of both an epidemic and a violent uprising of puppets. Thankfully, that could never happen to us. Interestingly, Pinocchio is also a puppet, but with some key differences. For one, they ever so subtly hinted it in the title, but Pinocchio can lie. I know, it's the truly in-depth analysis you come to this channel for. Lying plays a crucial role in the story, as they establish the significance of it very early on. To gain entry to a key location, you must lie about your identity, claiming that you're not a puppet. This ingenious defense system prevents any puppets from entering this hotel, as puppets cannot lie. The act of lying begins to transform you as well, bringing you closer to becoming a real boy. The combat in Lies of P is exceptional for a game in the genre that's not developed by From Software. It strikes a good balance where casual players can complete the game with a basic understanding, but true mastery of the mechanics is deeply rewarding. Souls-like games are often judged by the quality of their combat, and Lies of P delivers on every front, rivaling even From Software themselves. You'll face three primary enemy types: puppets, mechanical enemies who are weak to electricity, carcasses, undead who are weak to fire, and alchemists, humans who are vulnerable to acid. There's fringe cases where this isn't really the case, but as a rule of thumb, this can serve you through basically the whole game. The majority of bosses you'll face will be of the puppet variety, but despite this, the game does a really good job of differentiating them and making each of them stand out as unique and memorable. Compare the Scrapped Watchman to the King of Puppets. Both are large, hulking figures that dwarf your character, but both feel unique. The Scrapped Watchman, especially once he enters his second phase and is overflowing with electricity, moves erratically. He comes across almost like he is malfunctioning with sharp, jerky movements. The King of Puppets, however, is theatrical. He dances around the player, twirling before striking, mirroring the theatre that you battle him in. The story is surprisingly good too, and unlike FromSoft, you don't need to watch a 30-minute Vardy video to understand it. Appearing are of course many characters you'd expect from a game about Pinocchio, such as Geppetto and a guy with a donkey head. A standout character for me though is Alidoro, a merchant wearing a German Shepherd mask. He allows you to trade boss items for unique weapons, much like Ludlith from Dark Souls 3. Yet as the story unfolds, you'll discover Alidoro isn't what he seems. He's hiding a dark secret that, well, I won't spoil it. Let's just say he hasn't been a very good boy. At the end of the game, they also have this post-credit scene where it teases Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz as the second key that they need, with Pinocchio being the first key. Whatever they have cooking up, whether this is DLC or sequel, I am all here for it and I can't wait. The game also shines in its atmosphere. I have to mention the records you can collect and play at the hotel. Playing these is one of the many things you can do that makes you more human, which is required for a couple of the endings. The music on these records though is always a joy to listen to, and even when I've already listened to them once and no longer get that mechanical, pun intended, benefit from listening again, I find myself putting one on while I go about my business in the hotel, like upgrading my gear and whatnot. It just adds that perfect ambience to make this hotel feel welcoming. Customization is a strong suit of the game. You can mix and match your weapon hilts and blades to create gear that suits your playstyle, like attaching this giant pipe wrench to the hilt of a dagger, meaning I can fix water leaks at crazy speed. The skill tree adds further depth, offering enhancements like extra healing charges or additional amulet slots. The Sekiro-like parrying system feels phenomenal once you engage with it. However, the game can be played fine without interacting with this much at all. And if you just play the game like a Dark Souls game, dodging for the majority of attacks and waiting for openings, the game is still entirely playable this way. Playing through multiple New Game Plus runs is a lot of fun too. I happily went for the Platinum Trophy in this game, and I'd do it all over again, as this game is such a joy. I do need to point out one situation where there's this side quest where you need to go talk to an NPC, otherwise the quest progression becomes locked, but that NPC looks identical to the monsters in the surrounding area that you've been fighting up to that point, and you can even lock onto him like any other enemy, so it's really easy to kill him purely by reflex. You need to complete this quest to get a record, and being locked out of it because of accidentally killing an NPC is so frustrating. I had to do a whole New Game Plus cycle in order to retry the quest. Ultimately, it didn't eat up too much time to replay the game again up to that point that I needed to, especially since by that point I think it was my 4th New Game Plus cycle, so running through that area was becoming second nature. Before playing, I expected Lies of P to be Bloodborne with robots, and while it borrows some aesthetics and thematic cues, the gameplay leans much closer to Sekiro, with an emphasis on parries and posture breaks. Yet more evidence that Sekiro is the best From Software title. Forget about Bloodborne 2, they need to make Sekiro 2. At the same time, it offers enough freedom and build variety to stand apart from the other games like this in the genre. In many ways, Lies of P feels like a return to the classic linear Souls-like formula after the open world design of Elden Ring. Its focused approach, coupled with tight combat, memorable bosses and engaging narrative, makes it a refreshing addition to the genre. For any fan of Souls-like games, Lies of P is a must-play. It's a game that not only captures the spirit of its inspirations, but also carves out its own identity, much like its protagonist. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time as I continue through the gaming backlog.